Peace, world. How you doing? It's your brother Mikey Fever. Another episode of NYP Talk Show. I am back. And I'm back with stronger than ever. Pete, check this out. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. We have super chats. Send your comments, send your requests. Let us know how you feel about the show, and continue tuning in. All right. So tonight we have a special guest, a familiar face we haven't seen in a while, Miss Ayaba Wind. Yes,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. She is a priestess and spiritualist. And tonight she will be talking about lucumi. Did I say it correctly?
Lucumi, it's,
Lu-
spiritualism, all of that good stuff.
all that good stuff. All right, Alba. I'm happy to have you here, man. It's been a
Thank you.
while, man. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
been a while. I feel like it's been over a year.
Yeah, I believe so. You're looking all radiant. You over here shining on camera. So
Yes, I'm a daughter of the sun. I'm a Leo on top of that, so it's Leo season.
oh, I'm bad. Yeah, I forgot these Leos, man. Shout out to all the Leos out there, man.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Bunch of angry tigers and lions.
No, I'm a much more mature Leo. I used to be a trip back in the day, but I've learned to tame that.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. So we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna talk about the foundations in history, and then we're gonna bounce to different aspects of the locumi practice and culture.
Hmm.
For those we did do a show on this, so people go back and watch. But we're gonna reiterate for you again for those who did miss out. What is the origin of locumi, and how did it develop in the Americas?
So, of course, we all know of the transatlantic slave trade. And, Africans were brought over to various parts of the world for forced labor. And in them coming from Africa, West Africa, they brought their traditions. And initially, they had to mask, their spiritual practices because it was a threat to the slave owners. And so it was masked behind the saints. Thus, you have Santeria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when people get initiated at the highest level, we say that the person has Santo
Mm.
crown, has Santo done. So, but Lukumi is more of the African practice of the Yoruba uh, lifestyle, the Yoruba culture. Okay. And so, over the years, people with their investigations, their research, they learn that, like, no, we don't need to, hide behind the saints anymore. Let's be proud of our African culture, our African lineage,
Yes,
and let's properly acknowledge what we call the Orishas. So in
mhm.
Santeria, they call them the Santos. In Lucumi, we call them the Orishas.
I got you. For a quick question, right? A
Mhm.
quick thing that we just want to make sure we make it clear for those for our viewers and listeners who are not familiar with this. Can you kind of touch on what is Santeria?
So Santeria is acknowledging the feminine and masculine aspects of the divine, who we call God. People call, God, Allah, and whatever tradition you're in. But it is acknowledging the divine, okay, through an African perspective, an African practice. However, in Santeria, they substitute in the saints, like Santa Barbara, Saint Barbara is the equivalent of Shango, the Orisha, the masculine aspect of the divine. That is he's the general, he's the boss, he's the king.
Mm.
And so it was done, so the masking behind the saints was done so that the people of African descent could protect their original, their indigenous practices.
Got you. Beautiful, beautiful.
And I'm by no means like a a historian at all. Like my background is science and medicine and community health. But because I'm a priestess in the tradition, I know how to speak.
Now you're
Um,
good. No,
yeah,
you're doing good. Like to me, like listen, we make it clear here on this podcast. We want people to come up and share their perspective. We don't view anyone as a authoritative figure of all these practices because there are many perspectives, many views and points,
exactly.
houses and lineage. So we respect all. So we just let people come on there and speak.
But
So
I'm just saying that in general, with respect to the larger like Ocha community,
mm-hmm,
Ocha, Orisha, Santo, they are all used in the same kind of vein. So the Ocha community are people, they're practitioners of lucumi, of Santeria. And so we refer to them as the Ocha community. And so, there are many amazing historians in at least my Ultra community, John Mason, a number of people. And John Mason has written books about the Orishas, about the ancestors, what we call Egun. But in Santeria, the ancestors are called muertos or ancestros.
right.
So yeah, there's so many different aspects to Lucumi. It's a beautiful tradition.
All right. That's peace right there. I love that. How is Ashe defined, and why is it the central leukemia practice? Locumi practice.
I
Lo-
mean, it's referred to in a number of different ways, but like Ashe is your power. It's your power. And people also use the word Ashe as a term of agreement. Like I agree. Like that's the word, in that respect when people talk in conversation. But ashe is the power that you possess. You can have ashe of the tongue, meaning that when you speak something, you're able to manifest it rather quickly.
mm,
Okay. And then when we go through the process of initiation to become a priestess, a priest, a santero, a santera,
mm-hmm,
um, then the ashe of the Orisha is placed ceremoniously, through several rituals, okay,
mm,
over a 7-day period. And that then leads someone who is initiated with that ashe of the Orisha through ritualistic practices that begins the year and 7 days of what we call the Yawo, the new initiate, the newly initiated priest
yeah.
into the tradition, into the mysteries of Orisha.
I like that.
Hmm.
That's deep right there. So how does Lokami understand destiny and personal fate, or Ori, as they put it?
Well, we're able to we're able to fix our path. We're supposed to be, by making Ocha, by receiving the crown, by receiving the Ache and the blessings of the Orisha seated um, in your body, on your head, this is supposed to put you in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing to fulfill your destiny. But we all know we're not perfect.
Of
Okay.
course.
We're subject to temptation. We're out here in this world that's crazy. And so we're exposed to alcohol, food, drugs, sex, and we're sometimes victims of our own, vices and, personality flaws.
Yes.
So when we get out of alignment, we consult a babalawo
Mhm.
in Ifa, which is another aspect of honoring the orishas and the ancestors.
Right.
But we go to an oriete, an oba, a santero to get a reading with the shells, which is
Mm,
called the lagoon, the
mm.
spiritual shells. These are the mouths of the orishas. These are the mouths that the orishas talk through these shells.
The
And they
cowrie shells,
fall,
right?
yeah, the cowrie shells, and they
Yeah.
fall in different configurations and different numbers. And with those numbers represent an odu, a story,
Mm,
a guiding, a story that helps us to understand what's happening in our life, and
yeah.
then to put us back in alignment through, you know, making offerings to the Orishas, making offerings to the ancestors, the Egun,
Okay.
um, and making sacrifice, you know, and getting back in alignment with what our destiny is.
I got you. So basically, you said it's mathematics on how it falls. It's all ties you back to the universe. What zeros and ones, Akashic records,
Well, the
binary.
zeros and ones are very much prevalent in Ifa, which is a
Okay.
slightly different system. They all
Right.
fall under the African diaspora, but um, that those zeros and ones are really, really big
Yeah.
in Ifa.
All right.
Um, Santeros and Santeras who are able to read the shells, I also read the shells. We read from um, we read from 1 to 12,
Oh,
the
okay. That's
shells and
dope.
how they fall in those configurations. And then after 12, the children of Orumila, which are called the Luos,
Hmm.
the Babalaos, they read the whole thing. They read up to 16.
Oh, that's dope. It's beautiful. So, so being that we're talking about rituals and practices, what is the significance of divination and lucumi? And what methods are used, as you mentioned, the cowrie shells of divination.
Yeah, it's just to get back in alignment. Like, you know, like when you're going about your life, everything is fine, and then all of a sudden, you know, you lose your job, you know, your
Mhm.
relationship's falling apart, the kids are acting crazy, you have spiritual phenomena happening in your house, you
Mhm.
know, you're getting sick all the time, you know, just like extraordinary amounts of what we call bad luck.
Yeah.
And that's letting you know, like, not in alignment right now. You know, when we say that something doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
that often indicates that you're out of alignment. Um, Also, that someone could be throwing witchcraft, you know, some kind of dark magic to
Dirty bastards.
manipulate, to manipulate energies to affect your destiny. And so
Yeah.
that is when we consult with a santero, a santera, babalao, to do a reading, whether it's through the opele chains and chains and ifa, or whether it's through the dilagoon, the cowrie shells, the caracoles,
Mhm.
and lucumi santeria. We are able to learn what we can do, what the remedy is to get us back on track, to resolve the issues around, you know, someone being afflicted with witchcraft, or, you know, a dark entity is attached to them.
All right. Cool. That's cool. How are offerings able prepared and presented to the Orishas?
I mean, there's so many abos. I mean, abos are amazing. They're the key to you know, resolving issues, as long as you are um obedient to the Orishas and to the promises that are made. You know, the Orishas open the doors. But like I was telling someone the other day, it's like, you know, sometimes a fence is hard to get over. You have your goals that you want to accomplish, and that's the equivalent to, you got to get over that fence. You got to climb over that fence to reach your goals, whether it's a short term goal or a long goal. You still got to climb that fence. But what Orisha does, what the ancestors do, the Egun, the Muertos do,
Mhm.
is that they help you to get your leg over the fence
Mm.
to reach your goals. And so this is why sacrifice, ebo, is important. You can make offerings of fruits.
Yeah.
You can cook special foods, dishes for the Orishas,
Yeah.
prepare certain things. You can do special cleanings, you know, in front of the Orishas. You can do baños, which we call spiritual baths, in front of the Orishas,
Yeah.
make certain promises. And then also, you know, if they want a little edge, which is a feathered friend,
Yeah.
you know, that is something that's explored. But we always we always look to measures that are um the easiest to get done.
I got
And
you.
then if the Orisha doesn't take it, then we explore other routes.
I got you. So we talking about rituals and practices. What how are initiations structured, and what spiritual changes are believed to occur? Like, say for instance, somebody come off the streets and be like, "Listen, I want to get involved in this movement, in this spiritual practice."
Hmm.
What steps will they go through?
Well, I would definitely say, like, and oftentimes I get that. In addition to me being a santera, I also am a spiritualist. So that's another component of this tradition. And so I read cards. I read tarot. I also read oracle cards. And so a lot of times I get people that way. Like they've had experiences where it's like they can't explain it,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual experiences where they may have, passed out. They, started feeling goosebumps. They passed the spirit.
Mm,
They've seen, spiritual phenomena, and so they ask me, like, how do I get started? So, I'll invite them to an event, maybe a drumming, what we call a bembe, which is celebrating someone getting initiated as a priestess in the community. I may
mm-hmm,
invite them to that. Or I may invite them to a spiritual mass, what we call a misa, or a
mm-hmm,
white table, where people who are we can call them caballos, spiritual horses. They get mounted with the spirit,
mm,
passing mediums. And we sit and we say prayers, inviting spirits of the light
mm-hmm.
into the spiritual meeting. And then, through a couple of hours, we start to investigate. There's a spiritual investigation.
Oh
And so
wow.
this is when the people that are either mounted with their spirits, the passing mediums, or people who are clairvoyant, clairsentient, they get messages. This is when the messages are shared with the other people that are in attendance to help them to get back in alignment, to explore maybe what spirits are in their spiritual entourage, their spiritual court, or their
Mm,
cordon espiritual, or what are the best measures? Do they need to, explore getting a more in-depth reading with, the shells, that kind of thing. And so there's spiritual investigations that are done in order to segue the person that's interested into the tradition.
that's beautiful right there. So when you say investigation, like they go through your whole background in the spiritual sense, like some Law and Order SVU type stuff, right?
Exactly. It's a spiritual investigation. We are like, I'm a passing medium. I have a number of um, very good friends who are also in the tradition. They are passing mediums. And so yeah, we conduct spiritual investigations for people who are interested, for our godchildren, people who are kind of we're guiding. They're under our guidance. To help to get them to where they need to be spiritually. And not everyone is meant to be an Orisha priest, a santero, a santera, a high priestess. Not
Yeah.
everyone's meant to do that. It's just that they may just need the guidance and how to set up their ancestor shrine, their spiritual, abovera, what we call the abovera, and spiritual hygiene, how to, become more spiritual so that they are not being assaulted by dark entities and being attacked by people who have you know uh dark spirits with them
All right.
and
That's dope
malicious
right there.
intent.
So it's basically codes and ethics. So what are the moral principle guiding leukemia practitioner's life? The moral principles, like what are like the things that they can do and can't do once they get involved in this?
So everyone is slightly different. So being initiated as a priest in Ocha, in the
Mhm,
Lucumi tradition or Santeria, or whatever you want to call it, everyone has their own life path that they're given, and we call this ita or ita. And the ita is where all of the orishas that you receive, your fundamental, all of the orishas speak. They speak to you and they tell you the things that you can do, and they tell you the things that you can't do, what foods and what things are taboo.
Got
And
you.
so this is kind of the recipe for the rest of your life. And of course, you can choose to not follow, but when you don't follow, you will experience the consequences.
You get a beating. They will give you a beating.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And you will feel it and you will know it. And it is in your best interest to get back in alignment.
I got you. So that's deep right there. What is a supera, and how is it used to house an orisha?
So the soperas are the pots in which the orishas live. Okay.
Mm,
And so, we're here in the United States, and, the pots are very fancy. You'll see flowers,
mhm,
all kinds of different ornamentation on it. And it's almost like what we call like a soup tureen,
mhm.
that holds soups and gravies and things like that. Well, it has been adapted to be used to where the orishas live. Okay. And these are containers, they're vessels to hold the orishas. But in Cuba, my godbrother, he went to Cuba, and Cuba, there are a lot of people that don't have money.
Mhm.
The orishas live in bowls and mixing
Mm,
bowls, and you put a basic plate over the bowl. And
got you.
this is considered a sopera. So a sopera is anything, it's a vessel where the Orisha lives, whether it's super fancy, like what we have here in the United States, or whether it's a mixing bowl with a plate on the top. It's the place where the Orisha lives.
Got you. That's dope. That's dope right
It's
there. It's
usually
based
made of clay. It's never made of like
porcelain.
metal or anything like that, except
Mm,
for Ogun.
got you. It's kind of similar to many other practices that use pots and stuff. It's like basically making lemonade with lemons, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So let me see to get into this because this is dope. We spoke about the rituals and practices and what the supera is and everything else. How are the sacred beads Uleka is prepared and consecrated? I don't know if you go into full detail with that, but if you give us like a just a general overview.
Sure. So in my line, and everyone's line is different. There are different Ocha lines. Some Ocha lines are born out of Matanzas, Cuba, and some Ocha lines are born out of Havana, out of Cuba. And so
Yeah.
each line practices differently, and then each Ocha house practices differently. And there are hundreds of Ocha houses, not just in New York City, but all over the country. And so in my Ocha line, which is a very famous line out of Bed-Stuy, which was founded by,
Brooklyn.
what'd you say?
I said Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yes. Founded by some very prominent people, not just in the Ocha community, but in New York City. We actually string our own beads, and the beads, each one of the beads, we call them aleques or collares in Spanish. They have a certain pattern of colors based on the orisha that we're making it for. So
Okay.
let's say Shango. Shango is my father. I love him. Shango's colors are red and white. So we have a certain pattern for our Ocha house, our Ocha lineage out of Havana, Cuba, or wherever your Ocha house is from. It follows a certain pattern. And so we string the beads until they're long enough for an adult. The beads for children are much shorter, but it has the same pattern. And then we say prayers over the beads. And
Mm,
then we have some herbs that we use, special
yeah.
herbs. And then, there's other things that are done to these beads to, um, empower them and infuse them with the Orisha's ache, the energy.
Energy of the reacher. Okay, I got you.
And then they are presented at the aleo ceremony. So the aleo is the newly initiated, not at the priestess level, but the introductory level where,
Reborn,
huh?
like a rebirth.
Yes, like a rebirth. And so they are presented towards the end of that particular ceremony, which takes a couple of hours. They are presented in a way. They then become officially a Leo in the tradition. They have their aleques,
Yeah.
and they're usually given five. But it depends on each Ocha house. There are some variations here and there. And so these aleques are to be worn. They're worn for protection. They're worn as an identifier to show that you are, in fact, a practitioner at some level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that, there's certain things that can be done with when you wear them and certain things that can't be done.
Oh, okay, that's dope. So certain like you can't wear them. Like say if you indulge in alcohol or any sexual acts, you shouldn't be wearing these things. Basically.
Yeah, it's mainly like don't have sex with them on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shower with them on. I've seen people out, partying. Dancing is one thing, but like if, you're doing drugs and alcohol, I mean, it is what it is. People are very loose right now with what they do. Um, you know, but it's really, you just carrying yourself in the most cleanest way of living possible when you wear your aleques and when you are, a practitioner in the tradition.
All right, cool. I like that. I'm gonna stay. I want to stay on this on the sacred objects and in spaces. How is a sacred space ile arrange and maintain?
So once you receive Orisha, your house automatically becomes an ile.
Mm.
And so it's no longer your house. It becomes the house of the Orishas.
Word.
So my house is now, it's not really my house, it's the Orisha's house. It's a
Mm.
house of Ocha. And so this is where the Ocha lives. And each house, whether you live in an apartment, whether you live in a brownstone, whatever, becomes a mini temple.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to go to a place, although we do go to like community centers and we go to other people's houses, say in their basement or in community centers to attend drummings, because, of course, your house, depending on how big it is, you can't accommodate 100 people.
No,
And
you
there's
can't. Yeah.
drumming and everything like that
Mm.
and dancing. But essentially, your house becomes a temple.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say a joke because being that us Haitian voodoo
Hmm.
practitioners like tend to have a little cabinet set up or a closet whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
I
I
I,
mean,
I, I always tell them, yeah, y'all better help pay some rent.
exactly. Exactly. And so this is why, thus, you have to attend to your spirits,
Yeah,
your spirits. You got to attend to your Orishas. You got to attend to your ancestor shrine. You got to attend to your Bobada, which is where your spiritual court is, your spiritual entourage, people, spiritual entities that have been identified that walk with you.
definitely.
Um, and so, yeah, so your house becomes a temple. And so, you got to just be careful walking naked in front of them,
Mhm.
having sex in front, all these things,
Yeah. Give
yeah.
reverence and respect them as if they are in the physical, basically.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
because
Yes.
it's ancestral. I got that. It'll be hard for me to believe that. They'd be like, I don't see it. It's just a candle, it's just a stat. I'm like, believe me or not, man, there's energy, flowing through here. And if you stay here long enough, you see some things.
Oh, yeah. And you
So
feel the goosebumps and
yeah,
there's phenomena.
definitely. So like, what is the role of herbs and plants in leukemia work? Leukemia work.
So herbs, we call it omiero when we make, we prepare the herbs in the sacred waters.
Mm-hmm.
We say prayers, we sing songs. There's special things that are added to
Mm-hmm.
prepare these herbs to make spiritual baths with them, to,
Yeah.
consecrate certain items,
Mm-hmm.
to charge things up. We use these herbs to charge things up, to make it potent and strong. And we use herbs to cleanse our aura, to cleanse our electromagnetic field. Okay.
Okay.
And so, you can actually touch yourself with the herbs or just in the energy field that surrounds you,
Mhm.
without touching yourself, you know, these herbs have the power to cleanse, whether you have the herbs in a liquid bath and in sacred waters, or whether you just have raw herbs and you do a dusting of your, like
Yeah.
just a very soft kind of beating of your body, from your head down to your toes, to cleanse yourself of negative energies, of negative thoughts, or, if you're around people who, touch you, and you're shaking hands and all this, and you want to cleanse your aura. You're on the train, people are bumping into you, to cleanse your aura. These herbs are super powerful because they have spirits inside of them.
Yeah. And as far as like the herbs you're doing for like spiritual cleansing, as you mentioned, what herbs can you give us like a few name of herbs that one can use to cleanse their aura?
Well, I mean, I say, like, when people come to get spiritual readings and, it comes up that they got to do a spiritual bath, a herb bath, or whatever, it's basic. I don't send them on like a, a treasure hunt to get, rare herbs,
Yeah.
unless there's more serious challenges. But like, usually I say rosemary,
Mhm.
basil, um, parsley, mint,
Mhm.
thyme. A lot of the aromatic herbs can be used. And these are, um, pretty universal herbs where it is not going to affect your spiritual constitution. Some
Yeah.
herbs like
Mhm.
rue, quita maldición, rompe saragüey. Those herbs I don't suggest using on the head. Usually when I
Mm.
tell people to prepare the herbs, they do the herbs and they um they put the herbs from their neck down. Okay,
Yeah.
because the head is the seat of the soul.
Yes.
This is where the spirits live, and so certain spirits don't like certain herbs.
Mm. Oh, wow.
So like, the sacred herbs, there's herbs like cucaracha, paraíso, veralago, all of these different herbs, those
Yeah.
herbs are very sacred. And so those are used in higher level ceremony.
Like exorcism, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. But also initiation as well, cleansings and all that. And these herbs you can get at your local botanica.
Mhm.
And a botanica, a spiritual supply store that is known to have fresh herbs, because
Got you.
not all botanicas have fresh herbs.
That's a fact. Someone will give you some dry street tree branches and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like they collected it off, out of Prospect Park or something.
Yeah, I'm not with that. So we spoke about the history of leukemia going back into it. What caused it to be a secret thing because through the transatlantic slave they had to hide it behind Catholicism and certain saints and whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna I want to go more into it, like as far as let me see, what is the role of respect and hierarchy in interaction with the elders and godparents?
Yeah, there's there's politics in Ocha. There's an order, there's a hierarchy, there's an organizational chart.
Mm.
So you coming in as an aleo, a new initiate, just at the first level, the primary level,
Mhm.
you seek the guidance of your elders. And these elders are people who are initiated in Ocha as priests and priestesses who have a number of years under their belts that can teach you the ways of Orisha. And like I said, each Ocha house is different. My Ocha house, they taught us from the time we were Aleos. We did not have, Orisha crown to our head, but they taught us very young all the prayers, the Ibayes, the Majubas, the Kinkamaches. They taught us, the Ashegun, you know, um, all of these things, how to prepare the herbs. I was in a Leo with my god brother, my god sisters. We were working ochas, blood,
Mm.
sweat, and tears. You know what I'm saying? It's like we were
Yeah.
giving everything that we had. We weren't just walking around, parading around. with the leckage and just flossing like, oh, look at me. You know, I'm in
Yeah.
the tradition. Like, at least my class of people that I was initiated with, my god brothers and god sisters, we were not hazed, but we had to work hard to get where we are. And so it's definitely a level of respect. So, but no matter how much I have 12 years, 13 years of Ultra, 12 years of Ultra. But
Hmm.
these are not just years me just sitting and doing nothing. Like, have been working ceremonies for over 20 years actively,
Damn.
crowning people, all kinds of things. And so contributing to the crownings. And but even though I have this experience and all that, there are people in Ultra that are older than me. So with
Mm.
respect, usually if someone is older than you and they are crowned, you
Mm.
know, at ceremonies, at drummings and things like that, we have to moforibale. We have to get down and salute
Yeah.
not the person, but the ache of the person, the crown that the
The
person
person.
has.
Gotta give honors. Yeah.
To
Honors to elders. Yeah.
yes, to show respect to the crown that they carry, their ashe that they carry.
I got that. I
And
like that.
so it's like, you know, you may know a lot. I may know more than someone who has 20 years of Ultra or
Hmm.
25 years of Ultra because I've been working Ultra, but that person who was 20 or 25 years may not have been working Ultra. They just may have just had it and just be
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm not working any Ultra. I'm not helping to crown people. I'm not doing any of that. But
Hmm.
still, there's a hierarchy. And so
Absolutely.
that's why there's so much politics around people coming online and talking about Orisha and or talking about Orisha, but they only have 1 year of Ultra
I got
or
you.
2 years of Ultra.
And I stay clear of politics.
Yes.
Shout out to all community because I see that across a lot of spiritual communities now. It's a show of title now. How many followers I have and what have I done? My closet looks so much better than yours, and I don't know. Let's just leave it like that.
But no, but let me just say something as it relates to that.
Yeah.
When you are when you have the ache of an Orisha crowned to your head,
Hmm.
it is about being humble. It is about humility.
Hmm.
But some people, when they receive the crown of Ultra and they become initiated as a priest or a priestess, it goes to their head literally, and their ego precedes them. And that is where it gets ugly and it is not nice and it gives the tradition a bad rap.
Yeah.
And then people get bad feelings and they don't may not want to practice in the tradition because the politics are so exaggerated and sometimes people are so nasty and it's that is not what Orisha is. It is not about ego. Where there is ego, there's no God, there's no spirit.
That's crazy. So I have another wow question. How is conflict resolution approached within the local community?
Yeah, so
Community.
you got a problem, you get a spiritual consultation, you see what remedies can be given to achieve that resolution. You do the resolution, carry out the ebo, um, and then you stay in alignment, and you will see things open up. Sometimes when you make ebo, when you make sacrifice, you make offerings.
Mhm.
Um, and when I say sacrifice, I'm not talking about animal sacrifice. I'm just saying you giving of yourself,
Mhm.
giving up something to get something, going to a Risha and asking them for help, or going to the ancestors, the Egun, and asking for help. You got to follow through.
I got you.
And you may see things resolve itself really quick and be like, oh my God, like this is really amazing phenomena.
Mhm.
Or things may take time, but you will see things opening up for you.
That's deep right there. And being that we're talking about that, I love how all that ties in. Like you say, like conflict resolution. They'll have you do a divination first, and the elders will get involved. So say, how do they address questions of power, misuse of a ritual, and spiritual harm? Like say, for instance, somebody's trying to take advantage of the general public, like, telling them
Yeah,
you need this without even needing it, or just somebody run off with your money. Because I hear a lot of stories, people run off with people's money, like in the sense that they say,
look,
"I'll initiate you."
I'm that those issues are very, very close to me. I'm not going to disclose any names, but it does happen. And, you just got to follow what your Orisha says. People take advantage of other people. And that's, again, that's the ego that precedes them. That's the nasty side of it. And remember, everyone, whether you have Ashe seated, whether you have Ocha or not to your head, everybody walks with a spiritual team, a spiritual entourage,
Mm-hmm.
whether you practice in the tradition or not. And some people's spiritual teams are more gangster and more savage than others. So if you're going to violate someone, you violate their whole spiritual team, their whole spiritual entourage. And
Mm-hmm.
now you got goons after you, spiritual goons. So people want to play with other people's money. They
Mm-hmm.
want to take advantage of people. There is retribution. There is justice. The justice can be very swift or it can be very slow and agonizing. But let me tell you, I have seen justice, and it's not just for me, but it was for other people as well. And people don't want to play with it. And some people will check them in the community. They'll be like, nah, what you're doing is not right. And I'm blowing up your spot. And they will put it on TikTok. They will put it on Instagram, YouTube, or whatever. But then there's others that don't say anything. They don't stand up. And for those people who see that there's wrongs, people are being taken advantage of, they are complicit. And
Mm.
whatever karma that person generated, all those people, I would question their character. I would really question their character.
You hear that? They're gonna throw this. Somebody gonna throw a chancleta at you if you run over people's money.
Okay? And a chancleta and a spiritual chancleta where they're gonna get hit over the head. Okay?
Oh, so tell us more, like, being that we spoke about this, and you also a spiritualist, Miss Ayaba Wind. Tell the people, how can they get in contact with you? Say somebody's interested in having some spiritual work done or reading whatsoever. How can they get in contact with you?
Well, I have an Instagram that I started not too long ago. And so my Instagram is Ayabas, Ayabas Wind, Wynd.
Hmm.
And so you can find me on there. And I have it private now, but just put in the request and you can reach me, you can DM me. I do various lengths of readings. And I work with the ancestors. So, I take no credit for it, but I am definitely connected to the spirits to help deliver the messages that the spirits want to deliver for people. Also, I have a YouTube channel. I have over 1,000 followers. And the YouTube channel is Ayaba's Wind again. And this is named for the Orisha that I have crowned to my head. I'm a daughter of Oya. I'm an Iha de Yansa,
Hmm.
who is a female warrior. And she is the mother of the ancestors, the mother of the Egun. So I'm very much a spiritualist and a spiritista. So you can hit me via Gmail at Ayabas Wind, um with 3 9s 999 at gmail.com as well. And
Hmm.
then I do readings at Namaste Bookshop
Yeah,
in 14th Street in Manhattan in Union Square. And I'm only there for like just a few hours. And usually I get booked up really fast, but you can book me online if you want to see me in person. But
that's a fact.
usually,
She's good.
Mhm.
I visited. She's on point. She's on point, people. I'm telling you from personal experience.
Yes,
She's on
yes,
point.
you definitely experienced my readings, and you can share your experience. But I don't take this as a joke or a game, even though we have to post that it's for entertainment purposes on these different um um platforms.
Mhm.
I take it very seriously. And so you can consult with me that way. A lot of the people that I read Um, not just in this country, but I've read people in other countries, some celebrities I've done readings for. Although I won't mention any names. All I
Mhm.
need is your name and your date of birth.
All right.
And
I know you
everything
can.
comes out.
I know you can't mention names of celebrities you done reading for,
Uh-huh.
but did a celebrity use baby oil? Uh,
I have been to a white party. It was back in the day in the Hamptons. But I was one of the people, I was at the beginning of the party. And then once
uh,
they had those after parties, I was out.
so you left at 11:30.
Oh, yes.
I messed with you. You
No,
know
I
how
had a
it is.
friend that worked for Bad Boy at the time. So I was at all the parties with Biggie, Jay, Ananda Lewis, John Singleton, Veronica Webb, LL Cool J, all of those people. It was a beautiful time. But no baby oil.
No baby oil. All right, that's cool, man. It was a pleasure to have you on here. Don't forget, people, to comment, like, share, subscribe. We got super chat, and when you do reach out to Ayaba, tell them that you coming from the NYP Talk Show interview. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? You would not be disappointed. Sister's on point. She's serious about what she does, and you will love it. And if you want to know more about these practices, it's best to hit her up or hit up somebody that you may know. Do your own due diligence, people, because there are a lot of scammers out here that run off with your money. They'll give you a pot filled with chicken bones, talking about it's it's
Yeah, it's
ancestral.
crazy. I mean, you know,
Crazy.
the things that people do, but like it is karma. Like I said, it's either instant karma or that karma when it comes is not going to be nice.
Man, they gave me a pot. It had Timberlands in there, man. Let me stop messing
Uh-uh.
around. I need to stop now. I'm messing around now. I'm not. Nah, I'm not into the lucumi practice, but I respect all ATR practices.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's to each their own. It's a story. It's more than just drumming. It actually ties you back to your ancestors and to your history. If you really do the reading and the understanding how to live a pristine life, not pristine in the sense that you're walking on air, but more not getting caught up in this matrix out here, just being
This
positive.
is our superpower.
Yep.
We people of African descent, our practices, this practice, these things are our superpower and we don't recognize it. We have been told the tradition has been, demonized. Oh, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. And they throw us the bone of the mainstream religions where you just sit there passively
Mhm.
when ATR is where it's at. This is where the power is.
Yep.
And they don't want us to have this power. But we
And it's
got to
not a
tap
trend.
in.
It's
Got to
not a
tap
trend.
in.
It's not a trend either. With that being said, my sister, I appreciate you for coming out, beloved. You did your thing. Very radiant, very powerful, very
Thank you.
beautiful, and very insightful. A lot of information was dropped. I learned quite a few things myself.
Awesome.
To our listeners and viewers, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, super chat, and catch us back on here. NYP Talk Show, and we out. Peace.
Ciao.
Ciao.